Today I want to preview number 3 Ohio State at number 18 Penn State. And all that's coming up after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on Step Milk. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. So it's college football related, sports related. We have a good time. Today, I want to talk about number 3 Ohio State and Justin Fields traveling to number 18 Penn State to take on Sean Clifford and the Nittany Lions. And the Lions are lucky to be ranked inside the top 25 after the showing that they, put on for all of us in front of Indiana and God and, college football at large as they lose an overtime game, 36-35 to Michael Penix Jr. and Tom Allen's Indiana Hoosiers. Tom Allen also comes off the Hugh Freeze coaching tree, which I think just adds insult to injury here. Because it's not like Penn State didn't have this game won multiple times over. 488 yards, 40 minutes of possession. You got over 200 yards passing, over 100 yards rushing out of Sean friggin' Clifford, which I didn't think was possible. Still got Pat Freiermuth. I understand that you don't feel so great about not having Michael Parsons, and you got Kirk Soroka. You got Joey Porter Jr., who actually looked pretty good as a redshirt freshman, but you were very, very sloppy. And I expect that, right? And I think that's the part of this that gets undersold when we're talking about Penn State. And I understand Ohio State fans got no love for James Franklin in particular, but Penn State. They didn't actually get to practice the way that other people get to practice, which is another way of saying anybody that returned their entire coaching staff has a leg up on the competition, especially if this is your first week of playing football. Through those first 4 weeks playing football, it was noticeable. If you had a returning offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator and head coach, you were a step ahead of the game because most of your offense and your defense was installed. You already knew what you had, and your players, for the most part, knew how to run it. Bringing in Kirk Soroka from Minnesota means you didn't, right? You're trying to get a little bit more up-tempo, trying to get a little bit more vertical, and you're trying to get better lanes inside, outside zone for your running backs. And with Noah Cain, Devin Ford, I understand that. But Devin Ford, man, all my man's had to do was not carry the ball in for the touchdown, but he forgot what the down was, what the situation was, forgot to take a knee, and that's how we end up here. Also, you miss a field goal late, right? So you go into overtime. And then Michael Penix Jr. puts on like he is Cam friggin' Newton toward the end of this game and into overtime to win it. I'm saying that, yes, Penn State is not as good as we thought they would be in their opener, but this is still a program that has won 11 games in 3 out of the last 4 years and had a tremendous showing in the Cotton Bowl just, 10 months ago. And most of that team is still there, right? There's no KJ Hamler. I get that. There's no Micah Parsons. I get that. They aren't the same up front at the defensive tackle positions, but they still have enough firepower to hurt you, which I think is one of the reasons why they're ranked number 18 in the country. That said, it's Ohio State, which is another way of saying there are some fissures that you could exploit in this armor that is Ohio State, especially in these first couple of weeks, because the offensive line did not look dominant against Nebraska. Running backs had a really difficult time finding the hole. The only dude that's looked to be capable of rushing on the regular was Justin Fields, who's also your quarterback. And I don't think that's how you draw it up, even at a place like Ohio State, where Justin Fields has that ability, but he's a quarterback, and he distributes the football as well as anybody in the country. For my money, he's number 1, number 2 on the list of players in the country with Trevor Lawrence, right? Depending on how you feel about it that day. I know this. If you try to run out a single high coverage against Ohio State, they're going to beat you with more talented wide receivers, right? That's what it's going to be. It's going to be Justin Fields looking you off as a safety, getting you wrong-footed, and there's Garrett Wilson going to be streaking toward the post. There's going to be Jackson Smith and Jigba Smith. I keep getting it backwards, Jackson. That's my bad, dog. Point is, the freshman can roll, right? We all know the freshman can roll. Chris Olave is a known commodity. You also have a deep bench of wideouts you can throw out there, but I think if you're going to try to throw the ball on Ohio State, that's probably the wrong thing to do as well, because they got dudes in the secondary that can hunt you. Now, I tend to think that the 3 linebackers they got in the middle are the best trio in the country, and then they give up 200 yards rushing in Nebraska. You also have a defensive line that you're still trying to figure out with Larry Johnson Sr. Haskell Garrett doesn't get enough noise, especially after what he went through in the offseason. I'm amazed that dude is even playing football, let alone like what Ohio State's defensive line is used to being. Think about last year. You think about Chase Young. Think about the year before that. Think about like Draymond Jones. You think about the Bosa brothers. I'm sure that, Ohio State fans are tired of hearing about these names in as much as they want to see the guys like Sax Harrison come on, right? You want to see Tyreek come on. I get all of that. I think against Penn State, you have that opportunity. I mean, it's a nationally televised game at night. It's ABC's Game of the Week. You're going to have Kirk Herbstreit on the call with Chris Fowler. I'm excited about it, even as, Penn State is not unblemished coming into it, because I think that Penn State is talented enough to run with Ohio State in a way that, say, Nebraska is not. Because if Nebraska was more talented, you might have seen a different sort of outcome. Because Ohio State fans would tell you that 52-17 look wasn't dominant, right? I said it was dominant, but in the rewatch, I agree with many of you, right? Which is to say that Adrian Martinez going 12-15, I don't like that. Even if it isn't him stretching the ball down the field, I still don't like it, right? I think that you should be able to put the shackles on those wide receivers as much as you should be able to put the shackles on anybody else. And knowing that Nebraska has not recruited with Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan, Wisconsin, you understand what I'm getting at here. Now, you got the scoop and score out of Seven Banks, which is great. You're going to get Sean Wade on one side, so that's locked down. You have Hooker in the back, and you could bring Josh Proctor in at any time. Please bring Josh Proctor in at any time. As a dude from Tulsa, I'd like to see the dudes from Tulsa play. Like, my favorite part of watching Michigan versus Minnesota was watching Dax Hill be the best player on the field. He's from up the road at Booker T. Washington. Hornets, stand up. That's the best pure football player I've ever seen, and I can't wait for the game because I think that Dax Hill is going to get matched up against Garrett Wilson in the slot, and I'm here for that. Now, what do you do with Justin Fields if you are Penn State? You force him to run with the ball, because I think the more often you force him to run with the ball, the more opportunities you have to hit him. The more opportunities you have to hit him, the more likely it is for him to think about running with the football a little more often than he might, right? Which is to say that nobody likes to get hit. Nobody likes to get hit. And if you are forcing him to run with the football, you're also not necessarily asking him to do what he wants to do in the first place, which is to throw the football. I've always been of this ilk, right? As a dude that believes in the most athletic player being your quarterback, how do I hit that guy? How do I bruise him? How do I make him just a little bit slower to get up? Nobody's saying go after him in an untoward way. I'm saying that that's playing football, right? The reason that you want to establish the run is so that you can impose your will physically on the defense in the latter stages of the game. If you are in a close game with Ohio State in the third, fourth quarter, and you've been able to knock Justin Fields down 12 times, that's going to be in your favor, right? So you're going to have to probably, one, either sell out to try to get into that backfield, which I don't want you to do if you're Penn State. I think that you should run zone. Or you're going to have to drop back into coverage. You're going to have to try to run with the wide receivers for a little while. You're going to have to see Justin Fields get a little bit flusher, take off toward the sideline, and see if you can get him before he gets there. It's not much of a defensive strategy, but it is one that I think could work for Penn State because they've already shown that they are pretty good at moving the football and moving the football on the ground. If they had the kind of time of possession against Ohio State that they had against Indiana, I don't think that Ohio State wins that football game. It's not just that Ohio State is much more likely to be a quick strike offense this year than they are in years past because there's no J.K. Dobbins back there, and I don't think you're going to have anything close to even a dude that would have gone for 2,000 yards in Trey Sermon, Master Teague, or even Steel Chambers to date. It's that Penn State has the tailbacks in the offensive line to just put together 7-play, 75-yard drives like what they did against Indiana. And if Devin Ford doesn't have the mistake of going over the line to score that touchdown, we're talking about an entirely different ball game here. The other part about this for Penn State that you got to get under control, which I think goes back to practice and not being able to actually go through this offensively, is you had 100 yards in penalties, right? It doesn't matter that you have 488 yards of offense if you got 100 yards in penalties. You have to be more disciplined than what they were against Indiana, which is not nearly as talented as Ohio State and gets ranked off of your dead body. Like, I can't stress enough how much it's going to matter that Penn State plays clean football against Ohio State if they plan to win on Saturday. All right, that's it for me. Doses.